Rise and shine, everyone. It's Friday morning, May 23rd, 2025, and I'm Ellen Tibbetts-Hurst, your host for Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program. We have a lot of great shows lined up all the way through June already. Wow, it's almost summer, folks. We talked about mental health awareness in May, but it is also Speech and Hearing Awareness Month. And we have Shaba Howard with us this morning, and she is a speech pathologist and owner of Progress Therapy Services in Hoover, Alabama. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you came. So we've talked all kinds of things. I've had Morgan on the show, which she's the one that referred you to me, which is great. She works with children that are on the spectrum, she and her group. So we talked with her a little bit about speech. And then I had other people come from RMC, from the Tyler Center, talking about speech therapy and everything with people that have Parkinson's and that kind of thing. So this kind of goes along with everything we've been talking about all month. So, but do you have other, I know that you're located in Hoover, correct? Your
Yes.
office, your actually physical office. So do you have other locations, or do you, or from what I gather, I think you actually go out. I mean, you're not confined to the Hoover area. So do you serve other areas, and where do you serve those people?
Yes, we do service other areas. So we are partnered with ABA clinics, where we are a support as speech language pathologists to ABA therapy with BCBAs. So we go out as far as Homewood, Birmingham area, up to Gadsden, a little bit all over.
Okay, so you serve Etowah County. Do you ever go to, say, St. Clair County or to Calhoun? Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe that's the key word, is not yet.
Not yet.
So hey, okay, that's awesome. So so tell everybody, because everybody doesn't know what ABA and CB, all those acronyms.
Yes.
So let them know what that means.
So ABA is Applied Behavioral Analysis. So we work alongside with BCBAs, which is your board certified behavioral analysis. So we as speech language pathologists, we help as a support to work with children with autism to be able to help them with their communication skills and or swallowing disorders.
Okay, that's a lot. Okay, so let's start off with, since it's speech and hearing, right? Month. Let's start off with the importance of speech and hearing awareness and why it is important for the awareness. I mean,
well, it is important as it relates to our population or any population, those who have difficulty with communicating, whether that is expressive language or receptive language, that's our everyday life. And so we want to be able to provide those opportunities and treatment to be able to help individuals with their communication skills.
And it's something that, and I think we do this every Friday to bring resources to our communities, and we love to talk about things that nobody ever talks about, and I think this is one of those things that nobody talks about. So, and I work with dementia patients, and I know that we've had somebody, like I said, on the show about Parkinson's patients, and so with even children, I mean, it's so important to understand why they can't speak or why they can't communicate. And I mean, and I know as an adult, I see my adults that they're so frustrated because they can't communicate. Right. So I can't imagine a child too, because a child, as an adult, we've already kind of learned and progressed, right? So, and it's already bad enough for adults, but as a child, while you're developing and you're moving forward to where you couldn't even really ask questions, because kids are always like, why, right?
Right.
But for a child not to be able to communicate, even to their mom or dad, that has to be frustrating for the child too. Right. So, what do you do as a licensed speech pathologist? I'm getting tongue-tied. And what is your role?
So I evaluate, treat, and diagnose communication disorders and swallowing disorders. So what I do is I evaluate. So if a parent comes in and they have concerns, well, my child is having difficulty with understanding language. So for example, so I'll do an evaluation, and then from there, I take in the parent's goal and concerns and develop a treatment plan that's individualized for the child. And then we work on making progress from there with, through treatment and therapy.
Do you get your referrals from the ABAs, or do you get them from schools? Do you get them from doctors? How does one say, hey, I think my child needs to see you, or how does that look like?
So it comes from a variety. So, we have a parent. So if one parent tells another parent, then we end up getting referrals.
Word of mouth is always
word of
good.
Mouth, yes. And then BCBAs, like I was stating earlier, ABA clinics may send referrals to us. And then also doctors. As the owner of Progress Therapy Service, I also do marketing. So I send information to doctors just to kind of get us our name out there and let them know, hey, we're providing speech therapy services. So we do get referrals from doctors as well.
Right, and I have learned by doing this show that so many services, even though that doctors refer or whatever, sometimes the doctors don't even know, and then there's services out there that no one's getting because they don't know anything about it.
Right.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's why we're bringing this to you today. So where can one find a speech language pathologist? Say, for instance, if you're in a if any of you are out there in a county that you may not serve, how would they find one?
Several ways. Speech language pathologists, we practice in hospitals, schools, what else? Schools, private practice, and also early intervention programs through the state. So parents can also Google, if you're looking for a speech language pathologist, you can find one in your area and just contact them.
And the key word is speech language pathologist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. And so you do have to have. Do you have to have a doctor's order?
Yes, we do. It is best to. It just depends on insurance. So majority do require a referral from the doctor. So if a parent comes to us and they do not have one, then we just get the doctor's name and we end up contacting them to let them know, hey, we have this patient that came to us and they're looking for speech.
And then the doctor will just write you one.
And they'll send it to us.
Hey, I have to ask. So what brought you into this profession?
Long story, but I'll make it short. When I was, I'm not gonna tell you the year, but
hey, I'm older than you, so.
But when I started college, I thought one track was my way, and then my husband, my sister-in-law, one day we were actually in church, and so she was like, hey, I told her, I don't think this is the field for me. She told me about her field. Then I started, and I fell in love with it, and here I am 13 years later.
Right, and I mean, and I always say that you're placed in positions that you're supposed to be in all the time.
That is true.
It's very true.
Yes.
And so where did you graduate?
I graduated from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I'm from.
Okay, she's from Louisiana, and she came all the way to Alabama. But she did tell me she's a Roll Tide fan.
Yes, I am. Roll Tide.
And we're going to have to get you to be a Jack State fan.
Okay.
Okay. So you did say that you have to have, now, as far as payments concerned, you were talking about the insurance and all that. So does insurance pretty much cover it? I mean,
for the most part, and just like at a doctor's office, you may have co-pays, but for the most part, insurance is cover speech pathology.
Oh wow. Okay. So do you serve only children?
Yes, I do.
So you are keyed into the children then.
Yes.
So who can be seen for speech therapy? So who would be the candidates? Who are these children that you would be seeing?
We take in a variety of diagnoses, so whether it's autism or a speech delay, it's just so happened that my practice, 99% of them are children with a primary diagnosis of autism, but it doesn't mean that that's the only diagnosis that we'll service. Yeah.
So do you help children, because I'm sure people out there are wanting to know too, do you help children that maybe have speech impediments or speech, like stuttering issues, anything like that? Do you help with that as well?
Yes, so we evaluate and treat language disorders, speech sound disorders, which include your articulation and voice problems and stuttering.
Like pronouncing your R's as a W or that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Just to let everybody out there know what you're talking about. Okay, so you do not serve adults, you said. So what are your most common, I guess, types of issues that you see? What are the most common things that you work with children?
It is the world of AAC, which is augmentative and alternative communication. So like I stated, the majority of our population are children with autism, and in that they have difficulty with communicating, whether they are nonverbal or have limited expressive vocabulary, which means they may have 10 or less vocabulary words that they use on a day-to-day basis. So we use a variety of AAC modalities to help the children to be able to communicate. So we have low-tech AAC, which is using pictures to be able to like picture icons on paper that's laminated for the child to be able to communicate. We also use mid-tech AAC, which looks like a voice sound over button. So you may have like a button, you press the button and it'll say, I want to play. So just for example.
Wow.
And
so
then
this
also,
is the therapy, yeah.
Oh yes, and so also we use sound generating devices, which we call high-tech AAC, to where there's like apps, communication applications that we use. So if you choose a button and it puts the voice output on there.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, it's very fun for them to learn, and then also parents see that if they're not communicating verbally, they have other means of communication. And the children light up because they want to be able to communicate.
Well, it's not that, I always say that children that are on the spectrum, it's just because you're on the spectrum doesn't mean you can't learn. You just learn differently.
Yeah, that's right.
You just learn a little bit different. And I know that I have a friend who has a child that's on the spectrum too, and was a nervous wreck when they started school because his vocabulary wasn't where she thought it should be, like you said, But the school was so good at getting the people that he needed in his life to help him learn. And she told me, she said, oh my gosh, she said, and she has this all over her social media, to which I smile every time she posts something, because she said, I never would have thought he would have came home and told me all about his friends and told me all about like all these things that he never had just being at home, because he didn't have a lot of, I guess like socialization, outside. Well, I mean, he did, but he didn't. And she was just scared to kind of let go. Because he was always with his mom or someone, so she was pleasantly surprised, So I think that was just awesome, and I'm sure you get to see things like that on a daily basis.
Oh yeah.
That's got to get you.
Oh yeah, it does. It does.
Yes, to make sure that you see progress when there was none, and then so. Well, we've got a lot going on here, so we're going to talk about more when we get back. We're going to go take a break to recognize our sponsors. You are watching Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program right here on WEAC TV 24, and we will be right back.
I want to live. The leading cause of death of young Americans like me is gun violence, and oftentimes tied to substance misuse. NBA, NFL, NCAA, most of you look like me, and our communities need you now more than ever. Let's make I want to live more than just a hashtag. Let's make it a movement. I am a baller against bullets.
I'm Alan Parnell of Parnell Insurance Agency. We've been here in Oxford and Alabama, Tallapoosa, Georgia since 1990. With Auto Owners Insurance, we're able to give customers competitive pricing along with excellent coverages. Parnell Insurance can handle all of your personal, commercial, and life insurance needs. We have a very experienced staff, both personal and commercial. All together, we've got about 125 years experience. Come see what our insurance agency can do for you in Oxford, Alabama, and Tallapoosa, Georgia.
Auto Owners Insurance.
Hey guys, this is Blair Smith at Pediatrics Plus here in Anniston, located on Henry Road. I'm over here on the well side, but we do also have a sick side urgent care if you need us. We are more than happy to see you guys. Just come on, check us out if you get a fever, cough, or cold, or want to come in for a good checkup. Thank you.
Backus Bibles and Books is dedicated to providing churches as well as individuals with products and services geared towards strengthening every relationship with Christ. We specialize in Bibles, Bible imprints, Bible restoration, church supplies, home decor, gifts, and apparel. Call us at 256-201-1202 or visit us Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 1100 Highway Drive in Oxford, Alabama. We look forward to serving you, equipping the people of God to expand the kingdom of God.
Welcome back. You are watching WEAC TV's Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program. And I'm here talking to this lovely lady. She has been telling us all about speech, everything. I think it's just wonderful what you do. And I commend anybody that works with children and to try to help people be better people. Yeah. Because that means you have a servant's heart, because we're not in this. I always tell everybody, you're not in this to be a millionaire.
Right.
You know, you actually care about people, and thank you. So, and I'm always scared when I say your name wrong. It's Shaba.
Yeah, you got
Shaba.
it.
I got it right that time. Okay, so we talked about insurance. We talked about all the different things, and you were talking about like some of the how you communicate with them, and you've got to tell the good story that you just told me during break. That was a really good story. Just like a really feel good story.
Yeah. Well, one of the ABA clinics that we're partnered with, and as speech language pathologists, we provide the support like I was talking about earlier. We have a client. We've been working with her since I believe it's January.
Oh wow!
And no expressive language. Maybe some vocalizations, but it was about I think it was last week. I got a text message and a call from her BCBA, and so she was like, "You've got to see this." So she has an AAC device, but she loves animals, and so she was naming animals verbally.
Not
she
using
said
the
pig
device.
and owl, and so I was just like, "Oh my
owl.
gosh, yes, owl."
Of all things, not a cat or a dog, but an owl.
Yes. So the language was there all that time. It was just like
you just had to get it out.
Just had to get it out. Yeah.
Right. Fantastic. Gives you chills. That's so awesome. So we were again talking about how to contact you. Mm-hmm. We were talking about how you're not just in the Hoover area, you're in different areas, so that you actually serve part of Etowah County, but you said you're not in Calhoun County yet.
Not yet.
So maybe you need to call Miss Shaba and ask her maybe if you could use her services, all the schools out there or whatever. And you were talking about that the settings, so the settings for speech pathologists, you go in those clinics. Do you go to the schools?
I do not. I
you don't. Okay, so it's just in those clinics that you go to, different places. Okay, so let's go ahead and put up again where they can call or contact you about your information, so that and the phone number that you call, like I said, don't make it sound. We're not trying to scare you into saying it's only the Hoover area, because it's not. She serves other counties, so please make sure that you call her and talk to her. The worst thing you can say is no, right? Right. So, or you're working on it, or you want to work on it, right? Right. So, when we were talking about children, you said that there were like nonverbal children that, there was like different levels, right? So you said there's nonverbal children, and then there's some that can make sounds, but they can't make words. Mm-hmm. And different types. So what signs and symptoms should one look for to determine if a child can benefit from your services?
Well, if you notice that your child has difficulty with understanding language, or like following directions, or just like functional play, or if your child isn't producing words, let's say about 20 words by the age of like 12 months, a year to 2 years old. At the age of 2, your child should be able to use 2-word like phrases. So if you notice that with communication, the vocabulary isn't there, then your child will benefit from speech language therapy.
Right. And how many times, this is like, it says here, does not, the mama and daddy, does it use 1 or 2 words at 1 to 2, does it use 25 words by age 24 months? Mm-hmm. Trouble expressing thoughts, challenging forming sentences. I can see that. But I can also see where, and I hate to say this, but I know that I went to school a long time ago, and back then you didn't really hear of like ADHD much. You didn't hear of autism really, and I feel like that maybe some children were kind of like lost in the cracks kind of thing, because maybe they were they were being defiant, or they just didn't want to, well, you're not following what I'm saying, and that because people didn't understand.
Yeah.
So I feel like speech pathology and everything has come a long way, don't you think?
Oh yeah. What
you think? I mean, because now people realize that it's not the child just being defiant or not wanting to communicate. It's just that they can't communicate.
Yes.
Right. So it's come a long way, and I'm sure you learned all that in college, the history of it and everything. So, because I do remember when I was in school that was it wasn't a thing really,
And that's one thing I like about celebrating every May. We celebrate our speech language pathologists and audiologists on their roles and their contributions to therapy, but also we use that month to be able to communicate the awareness, give the awareness to the public about communication disorders.
Yeah, and speech and hearing goes hand in hand.
Oh yeah.
Because part of your communicating is listening.
Yeah, that's right.
So I can see that. So do you assist with children that may have hearing issues as well?
Yes, we actually have some clients that may have hearing aids, but as far as like the actual treatment for, like the assessing for hearing aids, we refer out.
Right.
But
well, that's understandable.
Yeah, but we do.
But
work
you do
with children
help
that have
other speech.
Right.
Okay, so I guess do they go somewhere else for their sign language and all that, or do you?
Oh, we do some of
do
that too. Yeah.
She does it all, everyone. Wow, I'm feeling this little over here. Okay, she is very smart. Okay, so you do all that. So you do a lot in your agents, like in your wow. That's a lot. So how many people do you have that work with you in your or is it just you?
Oh no, not anymore. It's grown. So
it's
yay!
Okay.
But I have 2 speech language pathologists, and I also have a part-time occupational therapist.
So you're grown. Well, that's a good thing that you're.
And we're hiring for another occupational therapist.
Well, there you go. Jack State graduates, UAB graduates, all you graduates out there. There you go. So, and we talked about. Are there any other services that your practice provides that we didn't talk about?
Speech language pathology, so we have speech language therapists and also occupational therapy.
Okay, wow, a lot. So with the populations that you serve, why is the AAC so prevalent, and you went over what AAC means, but let's talk about it again and revisit that. So why is AAC so prevalent, and what does it mean?
It's prevalent because we have our population of children that we service that, like I stated, they may be nonverbal or have limited expressive vocabulary. So in the meantime, as we're providing speech language therapy to help them with their spoken language, we want to also focus on giving them total communication strategies to be able to communicate. So we're not just, there are other ways to communicate.
Oh, yes.
So in that, until they are able to speak verbally, then we also provide the AAC training and education, and also the teachings for the child and the parents.
I was about to say, so the caregiver, that would be kind of important too, because if the child is learning and the parents don't understand, that would be be hard.
So we get everybody on the same page.
That's wonderful, because I know that Morgan talked about that with her, as to talking about how that they help with their caregivers, and actually even Emily, if you didn't watch those shows, go back and watch them. But Emily from the Tyler Center that works with Parkinson's disease, she even works with their caregivers too, and she was telling us how important that was for everybody to be on the same page.
Right.
So I guess, to help that child, and I'm sure, at home, if you're practicing what you're teaching, that helps the child, and it makes them graduate maybe to the next level, right?
Yes.
Wow. So what is required for a child to start therapy services?
What is required is first contact us, and then if a parent doesn't have a referral already, we'll get that done for the parent, and then we just start the onboarding process and then schedule an evaluation and go from there.
Oh wow! So so they can just call you But then they can also call it, I mean, they can also talk to their doctor maybe to get that referral.
Oh, yes.
Or whatever. So, wow, that's a lot. So, and anything else that you want to talk about the starting of the services? But, well, let's go back a little bit. You said that they can come see you, but they do need a doctor's referral at some point.
Yes.
At some point. So you can actually call them, you said earlier, right?
Yeah, sometimes we just take care of it, and so it's less work on the parents. So we'll contact the doctor's office and make that request for the referral. And then once we get it in, we contact the parents, let them know, hey, we got it, and just go ahead and schedule the evaluation. And if speech therapy is warranted, then we plan for the treatment sessions.
And I'm sure this helps the kids in school.
Oh, yes, yeah. And we even, as we talk about with collaborating and getting on the same page with parents, if a child is also receiving services, whether that's occupational therapy or speech therapy in school, we also collaborate with the school speech language pathologists and the teachers as well.
So that everybody can be on the same page.
Yes, because the child is not only just in, our presence, but also at home and also at school if they go to school as well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about some other things, and I want you to think before we get a break, I want you to think about some more good stories, because we all like those stories on this show. I know I always get feedback on our show that say, oh, that story they told, it had me crying, But it's happy tears, just like with the little girl that could say, I mean, I still can't believe owl.
Owl, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you would think cat, dog, bird, I mean, like you're common.
Right.
But, I mean, the smart.
Yes.
She was smart. She knew what an owl was, so that's great. So we are going to go to break. We are going to take a break to recognize our sponsors again. You are watching Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program right here on WEAC TV 24, and we will be right back.
The weather is warming up and spring is just around the corner at Miller Sand and Landscape Supply. I'm Craig Miller, and we've got something for everyone. From bulk materials like sand, gravel, and mulch to beautiful outdoor decor to make your outdoor living space the envy of the neighborhood. See our beautiful selection of Mazzarelli fountains, flowers to brighten your garden, and an outdoor center loaded with beautiful decor. Whether you need a little or a lot, visit Miller Sand and Landscape Supply.
Hey, this is Jason at Reeves Insurance. Just want to say a quick thank you to all of our customers for your support over the years. We now have offices in Anniston, Alexandria, and Oxford in order to serve you better. So stop in and see me or any of our experienced staff and let us shop for you. We'll find you the best price and the best coverage available. Thank you.
The Civilian Marksmanship Program, also known as CMP, is a national organization dedicated to training and educating U.S. citizens in responsible uses of firearms and air guns through gun safety training, marksmanship training, and competitions. Their vision is to lead the nation in marksmanship excellence, providing safe, high-quality, and innovative programs with a focus on youth. For more information about the CMP and upcoming events, visit thecmp.org.
Welcome back, everyone. You are watching Rise and Shine right here on WEAC TV 24 with the Alabama Cares program. It's Friday, and I will say this, every Friday I always have to get my guests to do the Friday dance. So it's Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, look at her. She's doing it. Yay, she's a good sport. Yeah, it's Friday. But we're talking about some serious things. We're talking about speech pathology, and we're talking about the children and children that are on the spectrum and children that may not be able to communicate like we do. And what all you do. And if you missed it, you need to go back and rewind, or go back to YouTube, go back to Facebook page on WEAC TV 24, whatever. You need to watch the whole thing because it's very interesting. So when a parent calls you, or maybe it's even in the midst of you doing this, because they may not even ask questions until they're right in the middle of everything, I'm sure, because that happens with us too. So what are some common questions that parents have for you?
One of the top questions, or should I say concerns, parents may have is if we're trialing AAC and we let the parent know, hey, your child can really benefit from using either a low-tech, mid-tech, or a high-tech AAC. Parents will often ask, well, does this mean that my child will not talk? No, it doesn't mean that. This is just another way, another mode of communication until the child is able
steps,
to.
Baby steps,
Right, exactly. And sometimes, and I've seen where children use AAC and spoken language simultaneously. So it does not impede a child to be able to communicate verbally. AAC is just a modality to use at that current time until the child makes progress to be able to speak.
And maybe that, like you said, if they use it simultaneously, maybe that's their comfort.
Yeah.
Maybe too. Like maybe if they forget something or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and I know you. So we talked a little bit about that earlier before the break, but are the parents maybe concerned about if they're getting speech at school versus speech with you? And
oh yeah, that's another concern.
Like there's two different people going on over here.
Yes. So if a child receives speech therapy in the schools and then they come to us as outpatient, they can be seen by both therapists. Just sometimes when it comes into play with insurance, they will not, it just depends on your insurance plan, but we call and we find out all of that information. But if you're receiving outpatient therapy with one speech therapist and outpatient therapy with another, it just depends on your plan. It may be allowed or it may not be allowed, but we figure all that out right at the beginning.
I was about to say, because a lot of times too, because unfortunately I've had to deal with the insurance companies before too, but sometimes it's all about the way you code things too. So I mean, I'm sure that in school speech therapy to me that would be a lot different because you're in a learning environment versus just your everyday speech, and just I guess more in depth maybe what you do to be able to just communicate period. I mean with family members and so forth. And guys, I mean this is something we all take for granted. I mean I mean we all take for granted, and I can't imagine how frustrating that would be to a child to not be able to communicate how they feel, if they're hurting or if they're, all those things.
Right.
And then people say, oh, well, they're acting out, but it's because they're agitated because they can't communicate something to someone. And I can only imagine how those poor kids feel. So thank you. Thank you. So thank you a lot. So, oh dear, I'm falling apart over here. About swallowing, what about the SLPs? What does that mean? And when they ask if their child has swallowing concerns, what does that mean?
Well, parents will come to us and ask about swallowing, but with children, it's divided up between feeding and swallowing. So swallowing is another word for dysphagia. So from the time that food is in the mouth to be able to swallow it, that is swallowing. So if there's any difficulty there, then we evaluate and we treat swallowing disorders. And then feeding is the ability to put food towards the mouth and being able to chew. So that's how we separate the two, but we provide therapy for the both.
Okay, so this is a really good, this is a good graphic right here. So swallowing disorders, like you said, when they have food or drink after being put into their mouth, and wow, I mean that's a lot, right? And then the feeding disorders, speech and sound disorders, languages, there's just like so many categories to it all and so many pieces to it, isn't it? Yeah. So the swallowing, when a child has swallowing concerns and feeding concerns, tell us how that plays into the speech thing? How does
speech language pathologists, we address communication disorders and swallowing. So when you think about speech therapy, just think about from the brain all the way down to here. So we address all of that, those muscles and areas there. But as it relates to our therapy outside of communication, those same muscles, like let's say a child has swallowing difficulties, and so there must be like some muscle weaknesses, either like with chewing or like tongue movement, lip movement, being able to
that would make
pucker and
sense,
smile.
and all that comes into play when you're communicating.
That's right. So those same muscles that you use for swallowing are the very same muscles you use for communicating.
See how smart she is. Okay, so we learned something else, but that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's just so simple that you don't think of
about
it.
it,
You don't really think about it, but yeah. So again, let's let everyone tell how they can contact you. And is there a website or something? Well, you said they can Google to find one in your area, like in somebody's area. If they don't have you in their area, they can actually Google speech pathologist.
Yes,
so
but
there's
feel
not like
free.
a website.
Yes, but feel free to contact us. Our website is www.progresstherapyservices.com. You can also call. Our number is 205-719-6554. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I mean, if she can't help you, I'm sure Ms. Shaba can tell you, steer you in the right direction, right? And that's always nice. So you were telling us about the little girl with the owl and all the calling out the animals. I think that's my favorite. But what are some other good stories that where people can see and understand where the speech pathologist comes in and the good stories that come out of it? There
was actually one today before I came.
Oh wow, just today.
So at one of our partnered ABA clinics, this particular kiddo, he's so cute, so sweet, and very smart. So he has a AAC device that we've been trialing in speech therapy. He has this one specific item that he likes. So he loves YouTube, and if he doesn't have that iPad, like he's just like unhappy. But with the progress he's been making with speech therapy and our partner ABA clinic, he's now able to like roam around with his peers, and he can tolerate not having an iPad at all now.
He can actually socialize
He
now.
can socialize, and he can make eye contact with you, so some kids communicate non-verbally. But today I was talking to a staff member, and I heard a kid say vampire, and there was a couple of kids around. I'm like, wait, it looked like it came from there, but I was like, I just know. And I said, and he said it again. I said, wait, that was him? And they were like, yes. I'm like, oh my God, there's words. And then he said, bubbles. I'm like, wait, what? Bubbles? So we got the bubbles, and we just started blowing bubbles. And so this is a kid that had like hardly no vocabulary expressively, and if he did, it may have been every once in a while of an occasion of maybe a go or like a no. So yes, that was a win today. I was like, oh my gosh, a vampire.
So awesome. Yeah, that's so awesome. And who would have thought that vampire would have made you that happy? But it did.
It did.
But that's so awesome.
Yes.
I mean, and we're working with dementia patients. I tell, when I go out and I teach businesses, first responders, all schools about dementia and Alzheimer's. Just because somebody is nonverbal or, like you said, forget words, or they don't know words like what a wrist is, or just simple things, just because they're nonverbal or they're not communicating to you the way that you feel that they should communicate to you, doesn't mean that they're not there.
Right.
You have to find something to bring them out.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, it was bubbles or vampires for this kid.
Yeah.
Where it was an owl to the other child. So, but that's so awesome though. That's just such a good story, I mean, we had a lady who had dementia. I know it's not a child, but she ended up going to the nursing home. She was not nonverbal, and she hadn't spoken in years. And a little girl that was I say she's a little girl, it was a little CNA that worked at the nursing home, found out that she loved birds and had birds her whole life, had different as pets. And so she went, y'all, this is precious. She went to the Goodwill store or some, little store, and she went and bought a bird cage, and she painted it, made it pretty, and she got went to Hobby Lobby or something and got the little stuffed little pretty little birds and put them in there and put it in her room just as a decoration because she knew that she enjoyed. And that lady, her eyes just lit up, and they said it was just like life came from where there was none, and she didn't say anything, but she smiled, and her eyes lit up, and that little CNA just cried her eyeballs out. Then she made me cry. But, like I said, and just with adults, with children, with anybody that's nonverbal, it's in there, especially with children.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with children, because they're still evolving.
Right.
They just evolve differently.
Right.
So, any other good stories that you can think of?
That's all for now.
Oh, for now. That's wonderful. So, you talk about the three different ones that it's the visual. You said the visual. Is it the AC?
Mm-hmm. So the augmentative and alternative communication, AAC.
AAC.
So we have the low tech, which would be like your pictures. And then you have like the voice sound over button.
That's the mid tech.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have the high tech, which is like your sound generating devices.
Well, and so what do the sound generating devices do? What does that do?
So they kind of look like iPads. Some of them are iPads, or they have like the iOS system. The child will choose a vocabulary, and this one that as a speech language pathologist we help them build to a lot of vocabulary. So there's one particular one called LAMP Words for Life, which is a communication system. And so we begin with teaching the child the vocabulary. There's a whole page like you saw in the picture,
right.
Full of vocabulary, right? But when we teach a child that is their first time using the communication system, LAMP Words for Life, for example, we help them build on to get to that full page. So we may start off with 10 vocabulary. And then we help build from that. And with us building from 10 to 15 vocabulary in our therapy, we provide communication opportunities for them to be able to practice and use that vocabulary so it generalizes outside of our therapy and then also to home. So.
Wow, there's a lot to that.
Yeah, it's a lot to it.
That's a lot to it. So, and I'm sure that they do have to, if they're not communicating at all, having to learn how to do sounds, and that all goes back to your muscles, like you
That's
said,
right.
swallowing and everything. Gosh, there's just so much involved. That's amazing, isn't it? Our bodies are amazing, that's for sure. Well, we are going to take a break to recognize our sponsors again, and so you are watching Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program right here on WEAC TV 24, and we will be right back.
On average, a tow truck operator is killed every 6 days in the United States. A tragic, yet preventable event. The fact is, most people don't know what it's like being a tow truck operator. The dangers that occur while servicing a roadside vehicle are real. However, you can make a difference to help lower this statistic and save lives by simply slowing down and moving over. This simple task can prevent an unnecessary death and allow workers to make it home to the families waiting for them. After all, it's the law in all 50 states, for good reason. Do your part so they can live another day and be there for you when you need them. Move over. Their lives don't belong to you.
Backus Bibles and Books is dedicated to providing churches as well as individuals with products and services geared towards strengthening every relationship with Christ. We specialize in Bibles, Bible imprints, Bible restoration, church supplies, home decor, gifts, and apparel. Call us at 256-201-1202 or visit us Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 1100 Highway Drive in Oxford, Alabama. We look forward to serving you, equipping the people of God to expand the kingdom of God.
I want to live. The leading cause of death of young Americans like me is gun violence, and oftentimes tied to substance misuse. NBA, NFL, NCAA. Most of you look like me, and our communities need you now more than ever. Let's make I Want to Live more than just a hashtag. Let's make it a movement. I am a baller against bullies.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Rise and Shine right here on WEAC TV 24 with the Alabama Cares program. I've been talking with Miss Shaba over here. She's awesome and so smart. We've been talking about speech pathology and communication with children and everything. I think one of the things that may be good for all of us to know out there in the communities, because I know that I teach dementia and Alzheimer's education, and I always, even with first responders, I always have to teach them do's and don'ts, dementia and Alzheimer's, like what to do, what not to do, because, there's some things that scare them or whatever. So what are your suggestions? I mean, do you have any pointers for people that go to church with children that are on the spectrum that are having communication problems? Do you have any, because I'm sure, these kids still go to church, they go, they're out, everywhere, just like we are. I mean, do you have any pointers that maybe to help us so that we're not doing the wrong things or whatever?
If you have any concerns of how to work with or those who have communication difficulties, I would suggest research. And of course, we go to Google, but you can't trust everything on Google. So
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So especially as it relates to any healthcare profession, just talk to the healthcare professional.
Right, and call you,
yeah,
Shaba. Because I feel like too sometimes, especially in churches and stuff, if you have, for instance, if you have a Sunday school teacher, well, Sunday school teacher is not going to be like the teacher in the school,
right,
where they're involved with you,
right,
and the speech pathologist, and knows, they're not in the know, like I guess like the school
right,
teacher is, so I feel like, education's everything, and I feel like the more you know, the the better off you are, and I feel that's why we bring this every Friday to let others know, and I feel that for everybody to be not just, I always say Alzheimer's and dementia friendly, but just to be friendly for all populations,
right,
to be in the know about it. So if you work with children and you want to know more about it, call Ms. Shaba and she can guide you in the right direction, right?
Oh, yeah, because it is a part of our scope of practice to educate. So if you have a question, I'm more than happy to
Yes, because it makes your job a little bit easier too. Yes. So we need to put that graphic back up to how to get in touch with you, I'm sure, to make sure. So there's your information, the Progress Therapy Services, and give them your email address again.
Or
your website.
My website is www.progresstherapyservices.com. And if you want to email, you can email at contact@progresstherapyservices.com.
Okay, and you can also call her at those at that phone number. Like I said, she is in Hoover, but she does cover Etowah County and other areas. You said around the Jefferson County area,
yes,
that area as well. So you can call her at 205-719, what is that, 6767?
Yeah.
I don't have my reading glasses on. But yeah, so please call Miss Shaba Howard, and we appreciate you so much coming. And I'm going to talk a little bit too, and we would love for you to come, especially for the children's one. We have community health series every month. We actually had our community health series this week. We actually had, it was Mental Health Awareness Month that we did, and we actually had speakers that came and spoke about the history of mental health, and we had somebody that came and talked about, it was very interesting about how our churches put a stigma sometimes, on mental health and everything, and how that's separate. And he was a pastor too. So I mean, and he's a licensed counselor. So it was very interesting. Yes. So he talked about all that, which I loved. But we do have a community health series. It's a free event every month that we have at the Oxford Civic Center. It's from 10 to 12. We have it on different dates. Our next one is June 17th, and these are all the dates that we have. So June 17th, June is, we'll just go through these for the month. So June 17th is Dementia and Brain Disorders Awareness Month. And we have Bill Curtis from the Alzheimer's Association will be our speaker, and he will talk about healthy habits for the brain and body, as well as discuss all the latest research for dementia, and particularly Alzheimer's, and he will also be a guest on the show on June 20th. So make sure that you come to that. July, that may be a good one for you to come to, because we're going to have parents as kids, parents and grandparents day, because part of the kids that I serve, or part of the population that I serve, are grandparents raising grandchildren. You see that a lot.
Yeah.
So you know, we're going to try to have all the resources there for grandparents and for their parents there. So that might be something you want to come. But we have vendors. If you're interested out there too to be a vendor for any of these months, you can contact me, ellen.hurst@earpdc.org, or you can call us at 1-800-AGE-LINE or 256-237-6741. But a vendor is free. The only thing that we ask is you bring a door prize. So all the people out there that want to come, it's free. You know, and all the vendors, of course, have their freebies and everything. And then we also have door prizes. So July, again, like I said, is Children's, Grandparents, and Parents Day. Then we have August will be, we're going to talk about frauds, scams, identity theft. We have Carl Bates that's coming for that. I can't remember what September's for, but we have just different ones. October is cancer awareness. I think September is aging month, isn't it? Yeah. So we have different things going on. October, November's caregivers month, and in December we have holiday wellness, because nobody ever takes care of themselves during the holidays. So we have free glucose checks, blood pressure, flu shots, hearing checks, vision checks, all that. And then we have a band playing all the Christmas festive music too. Okay. So yeah. So, and we also have great guests coming up. So mark your calendars out there. I'm pretty much booked for the next month or so, which is good for me. It's a good problem to have. You don't want to miss next week's guest. We'll have Teresa Spegner, which she's been on the show before talking about Medicare, because she does work with me, but she is also a licensed counselor and owner of Transitions Counseling Services, LLC, and she'll be discussing burnout, stigmas of mental health, and understanding it all. And she's really good at what she does, and so she'll be talking to us about that. And then June 6th, we will have Jessica Smith coming to talk to us about Martha's Hope. It's a new homeless shelter and resource for Calhoun County. She'll be talking about all the things going on with that. And on the 13th, get ready for this. Okay, we will have Chris Proper, who will be bringing a specialist as well, and he's a specialist as well too. He's a snake remover. Okay, but they will be talking about all things snakes. And before you say no, I mean, I told them not to bring like live specimens, though I did tell them that. But they are going to help us identify snakes and tell us the do's and don'ts, because I mean, it is getting summer months. Oh yeah. The days are getting warmer, and everybody will be out in their yard and in their garden and the pools, lakes, rivers, and all that kind of stuff, right? So he's going to educate us on all things snakes. So there's that. You know. So. But we'd love to have everybody out, and please tell everybody out there, tell everybody at your church or whatever. These are events. I mean, it's like having a free consultation every month, because we have lawyers that come, doctors that come. We've had, you know, people, heart specialists come and talk. We've had attorneys come and talk about, you know, estate planning and everything. These are events that you can ask questions, and you don't have to make an appointment. Right. You don't have to pay for anything. You can just come for free, and it's like a free consultation every month with different subjects. Yeah. You know, so but we would love to have you for Children's Month. That would be great. Yay. Yeah, that would be awesome. So you can't think of any other good stories, you think?
Let's see.
But let me ask you this: so did when you moved to Alabama and started your business, did you already have your business in Louisiana and then moved it here?
No, I was working with EI, and I had like a few clients, but then got the word we were moving to Alabama, so I'm like, okay, and I wanted to be that therapist that did everything, so I started working with adults when I moved here. Okay. And then COVID happened, and I was I want to go to the happy place, so I'm going back and work with kids. And so I'm here.
Right, I can see that. So, well, we appreciate you doing everything that you do, and we appreciate you coming here and talking to us about all this wonderful stuff that you do. And again, let's show her information again. And like I said, I can't stress that enough, that if you don't be hesitant in calling Miss Shaba, because she, even though her office is in Hoover, she can answer questions, guys, and she does cover Etowah County, some of Etowah County, and I think she's pretty open in coming into other areas too.
I'm open.
But definitely give her a call and let her know any concerns or any questions that you might have. That she would be a good resource to have. So, and I guess every county, I mean, pretty much has speech pathologists because of schools and everything, correct?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so are most of your speech pathologists, I guess like you, where you're a private practice, or is there like big like companies or anything that, or is it just mostly just private practices that do it?
Well, they do have like other companies and like other outpatient clinics, like at the hospital they may have an outpatient clinic. I think I've heard parents tell me, but I'm private practice, and which is considered outpatient, which is a clinic. So
right. Yeah. And earlier you were talking about occupational therapy. You know, again, explain to the audience the difference.
So the difference is occupational therapy, they work on a variety of skills, but some, to name a few, would be like fine motor skills, so like also with handwriting and grasping objects, then also like with dressing, so helping children to like dress themselves, because at a certain, you have developmental ages for everything that we do, so dressing is one of them, and then they also, occupational therapists work with feeding as it relates to the sensory eating, which is a whole nother ball game.
So there's just so much. Yes. Yeah, but I mean, and I can see where everything ties in together.
Right.
You know, I definitely can see that, the sense. Yeah. Who would have thought? I mean, but everything's connected to everything, and you hear that all the time, but it really is true.
Oh yes,
it really is true. And I guess for you guys out there too, I mean, adults are not the only ones that go through occupational therapy because of strokes and all that kind of stuff, but children need that too when they're having problems learning, and their motor skills and everything, like you said, may be delayed or whatever. So, well, I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You've been a pleasure, and I have to thank Morgan for connecting me to you. So, and if we can be of any help, you know, just let us know, and I'll make sure to keep your number for my, because we part of our population that we work with are grandparents raising grandchildren, so I'll make sure that I keep your information for them too, so that if they do have any questions, you're the expert that they can call you as well, because we get in our ADRC, which is our Aging Disability Resource Center, they're the ones that takes all the calls and do the screenings and gives out referrals and all that kind of stuff. So it'd be good to let them know about you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And so we appreciate all of you for tuning in to WAC TV 24's Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program. We hope that you tune in with us next week. Like I said, I already went over all the shows that we're going to have. So make sure that you keep on watching every Friday, and we hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
So, from all of us here at WAC TV 24, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
I want to live. The leading cause of death of young Americans like me is gun violence, and oftentimes tied to substance misuse. NBA, NFL, NCAA, most of you look like me, and our communities need you now more than ever. Let's make I want to live more than just a hashtag. Let's make it a movement. I am a baller against bullets.
I'm Alan Parnell, the Parnell Insurance Agency. We've been here in Oxford and Alabama, Tallapoosa, Georgia since 1990. With Auto Owners Insurance, we're able to give customers competitive pricing along with excellent coverages. Parnell Insurance can handle all of your personal, commercial, and life insurance needs. We have a very experienced staff, both personal and commercial. All together, we've got about 125 years experience. Come see what our insurance agency can do for you in Oxford, Alabama, and Tallapoosa, Georgia.
Auto Owners Insurance.
Hey guys, this is Blair Smith at Pediatrics Plus here in Anniston, located on Henry Road. I'm over here on the well side, but we do also have a 6-side urgent care if you need us. We are more than happy to see you guys. Just come on, check us out if you get a fever, cough, or cold, or want to come in for a good checkup. Thank you.
Backus Bibles and Books is dedicated to providing churches as well as individuals with products and services geared towards strengthening every relationship with Christ. We specialize in Bibles, Bible imprints, Bible restoration, church supplies, home decor, gifts, and apparel. Call us at 256-201-1202 or visit us Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 1100 Highway Drive in Oxford, Alabama. We look forward to serving you, equipping the people of God to expand the